Welcome to the Realty Rundown, the podcast that cuts through the noise of the real estate world. Your hosts, seasoned industry experts Nick and Nate, are here to guide you through the entire process. Each week, they're breaking down the latest market trends, decoding complex jargon, and sharing insider secrets you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or building an investment portfolio, we provide the clear, actionable advice you need to make your next move your best move.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Realty Rundown from the Nick Wyse team. I'm Nick Wyse.
I'm Nathan Schwartz.
It's true, he is. All right, guys, last episode we talked about Indiana leading the nation in foreclosures, and that was so much fun that we wanted to do it again.
That's right.
These are the headlines we love. No, guys, today we're shifting the conversation a little bit. Still talking about those foreclosures, but looking at how that market change, that market shift, can present some new opportunities.
Yeah, so last episode had a pretty serious tone, and I'd say rightfully so, but because there are real people behind those numbers.
Yeah, and that's the part that will never not tug at my heartstrings. You know, we don't want to lose sight of that. Having worked with these kind of properties before, you know, sometimes you're going through them and you're finding things like old family photo albums, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But we are here to deliver you guys the news, and from a market perspective, when things shift like this, there are opportunities, especially for buyers and investors who are prepared.
So when we talk about opportunity, who are we really talking about here?
Yeah, so really investors, that's the first group that I want to pay attention to. It's been tough for investors, and they will tell you if you know of any. For many, many years now, there's been almost no distressed inventory. Foreclosures basically frozen. Everything hitting the market was almost move-in ready, or it was priced at least like it was move-in ready, and that is now starting to change.
Yeah, so we could actually start seeing some of those fixer-upper type of opportunities again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yep. These distressed inventory properties like we were talking about, that's exactly what investors want.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people hear foreclosure or the word foreclosure and assume it's just one event. Walk us through how that process actually pans out. What's the process from start to finish?
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that on last episode. You know, I said it's not like, hey, you missed one payment and poof, foreclosure. It is a process, you know, so you've got several missed payments, and you've got a notice or a pre-foreclosure called a lis pendens. It's actually a public notice that goes out. After that, if you're unable to save it, you know, and again, if you are getting those notices, please call me. I will help you in any way. I'm not going to ask for anything. I just want to see if I can help you. But anyway, if you go through that pre-foreclosure process, it's typically then the property is going to end up in a sheriff's sale. A sheriff's sale, it can be bought by the bank, by an investor, or by anybody, really. And that literally could possibly be the person or a family member of the person that lost the home. But if it doesn't sell there and the bank does take it back, they end up being the high bidder at the sheriff's sale, then it becomes an REO, or a real estate owned property. And that's just kind of real estate parlance for a bank owned property.
Yeah, so that's when people would finally see it, correct?
Yeah, yep. So most banks typically are going to list that home then. They're going to get an agent. They're going to put it in the MLS, and it's already going to have gone through those earlier stages.
Yeah, so let's talk about sheriff sales for just a little bit, because that's where some of these properties show up first.
Yeah, and this is really where things get fun and interesting. So these properties, these sheriff sale properties, are auctioned here in Elkhart County. They're auctioned, I believe it's the fourth Wednesday of every month. That recently changed, but these are cash only properties. So there's very limited information. There's limited prospects for buyers, and there's no inspections.
I was going to say, it's definitely not your average home buying process.
No, and we don't want it to be, right? Like we want our buyers to be able to get inspections.
Yeah.
This is not the process that you see on HGTV where it's all rosy and it's like, we looked at 3 houses and we picked this one and we have $1 million. None of this. It's none of that.
Yeah.
This is what I would view as actually more like high risk, high reward, real estate. These are big chances that investors take. And I can tell you, I used to be one back when I was had a little more free time. I used to love flipping houses and had a good partner that I did that with. And we had bought multiple properties at sheriff's sales. So you used to go in person. I believe it's all only online now. And again, we can get you those links if you want them. We may post them with this episode actually. But you used to actually go in person and be a room of, you know, folks who, you know, you're like, everybody in here is against each other, and it was very confrontational. Nobody wanted to share any information. And then there was the banker that was in there too, to bid up to a certain level for the bank that the bank would basically pay to get it back. So if the bank hit that amount and they're like, we're out, we got our money back now, anything that sells over this is fluff, then the investors kind of kick in, and then they start bidding against one another, and there can only be one winner. If you win, you go and get that money that day, and so you're paying for it right then and there. You're bringing back in a cashier's check. So anyway, a little different process now because it's online. If you're interested in this, reach out to us. We'll help you get started in that process. It's still pretty contentious, but we think that locally here in Elkhart County and in the surrounding areas, we're going to start seeing more of those homes come up, be available on the sheriff's sale. So that's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So the average buyer, they're more than likely going to run into the REO owned properties, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. That's again when properties hit the MLS, when they're available more to the general public. That's when the bank already owns the property. They've got it back out of the sheriff's sale, and they list it with a real estate agent. So these are more accessible homes. You can almost always finance them. Title is usually cleaner and actually done. There's still some risk there, and you're still going to want to get a title insurance policy and a title search done because these are still distressed properties.
Yeah, and probably some more competition too.
Yeah, definitely. Very often, I would say. So they're not exactly easy deals, I would say, but they can be really, they're solid opportunities at the very least, where people can actually get a home, typically below market value if they're willing to put some money into it, So if you're thinking about buying a foreclosure, there's some things that you probably want to hear. You're not just buying the home, you're kind of buying a situation.
Yeah, sometimes that situation comes with a few surprises.
Exactly, yeah. And if it looks like a steal, it's probably a reason, right? There's probably something that's broken.
Yeah, or a lot of things broken.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes it's like literally everything. And by the way, there's no furnace.
Yeah.
Or there's a hole here, and that's the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
So you just got to go in with a plan, with a budget, and with the right expectations.
Yeah. So let's kind of pivot a little bit. Let's talk about those risks.
Yeah. The big one is the as-is condition and no or very limited disclosures. Basically, potential hidden damage is what you really have to be aware of. And again, oftentimes you're going to be fighting with other buyers and you may not be able to have inspections. So taking someone with you sometime to those showings is a great thing to do. Not just a real estate agent who, believe me, we've got our eyes out too, but taking a contractor is a very valuable thing to do if you're thinking about buying an REO. And depending on where you are in the buying process, there may be title issues as well. And sometimes those have to be detailed through that purchase process as well. And that can take some extra time. Like we said, with the sheriff's sale, you're really on your own. There's no title search. It's done. So I would highly, highly advise someone who's going to bid on a sheriff's sale property that they do their own title search before the auction. That way, you know what you're getting into ahead of time.
Yeah. So definitely not something you just want to jump into blindly.
No, because there can be significant liens on that property. Aside from this mortgage that's been foreclosed on, there could be numerous mechanical liens out there as well. So getting that title search done ahead of time will show you what those liens are. So when you're going to bid, you're going to know, okay, well, I'm buying this house for this much, but I've also got to pay off $10,000 in liens. So it's really about going into it with your eyes wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. So who should be looking at these types of properties?
So generally we say, you want to be obviously an investor or an experienced buyer, but it could be really anybody with some flexibility. And the big term is a financial cushion. Honestly, some regular buyers, sounds like I'm talking about gas, like regular versus your unleaded buyers. Diesel buyers would be great for this, but regular buyers can make it work too, but you're probably going to have to be willing to put in some work, some sweat equity, as we call it. And then if you're really needing something that's move-in ready and predictable, probably best stay away. This probably isn't your lane. So, Nate, unless you had anything else you want to pop in here.
I think
this is going to be a fun one for you. Because I'm not even sure. Have you done much? I know you've worked with some investors and you've done some of this. Have you really had a chance to show many of these real estate owned properties?
A couple of REOs in the last couple of years. So I'm curious to see with these stats. I'm curious to see if we'll see more pop up. I'm curious.
Yeah. You are lucky, man. When I got started, it was right after the Great Recession, as they call it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Bro, like it was, I started in the summertime too. And that's when all these foreclosures started to come back on the market. And the banks don't have any power on these things. So you're going into them in the dead of summer. It's like 90 degrees outside, 150 degrees inside. And then your client calls you and they're like, hey, we're going to be 50 minutes late. And you're like, that's cool. I'm almost dead in this heat box that has mold everywhere.
Yeah, right. I'm totally fine. I'm fine. Take your time.
Don't worry. Take your time. Yeah. And when you're a new agent, you know how it is, man. You're like, I will wait.
Yeah, seriously. I will take anything at this point in time.
Exactly. So the key here, guys, for this episode, we are wrapping it up, but the market's maybe changing, but when they do, opportunities show up. And the key really is to understand what you're getting into. So please reach out to your experts because, as always, Nick knows.
Nate knows.
That's right. When you've got real estate requests and questions, we've got Wyse replies. All right, guys, we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
And that's a wrap on another episode. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had as much fun as we did. We love sharing real estate insights, but as you can see, we also love to have a good time. This energy and passion is what we bring to every client. Buying or selling a home is a huge deal, but it doesn't have to be stressful. With the right team, it can even be fun. Ready to make your move? Let's connect.